This ordinary avatar of Yan Su looked into the distance at Shangji City, where the Black River world covered the entire city without leaving any gaps. There's no way to fight him. The gap is too large. Luohi's strength, it's undoubtedly the number one in the Chaos Realm transcendent level. Even compared to the first level of godly kings, he's likely among the strongest. Yan Su sighed inwardly. A sense of helplessness filled his heart. The gap was so vast that he couldn't even muster the will to fight. That was why, upon seeing Luo Feng, he had immediately been willing to apologize and resolve their grudge. However, Luo Feng's demand for his pair of void divine drills was something Yan Su simply could not accept. My most prized possession is this pair of godly king weapons, and now they've been taken. Yan Su was filled with grief. Aside from this, he had no other treasures of value left. This pair of godly king weapons was as important to him as the Star Tower and Bloodshadow Blade were to Luo Feng. How could he not feel heartache at such a loss? So be it, now that I've lost the godly king weapons, I no longer have a weakness. Yan Su's eyes turned cold. This fight with Luo he also proves that simply having strong survival abilities isn't enough. One's killing power must also be strong. Like Luohi, who already has such power at the Chaos Realm transcendent level. Once he becomes a godly king and improves in all aspects, he will likely become one of the rulers of Origin Continent in a short time. Yan Su thought to himself. Having lived for countless years and possessing great strength, he was well aware that the order on Origin Continent was determined by a group of ancient rulers. Who could be called a ruler? Someone with incredibly strong survival abilities, making it almost impossible to kill them on Origin Continent. And they also had to possess terrifying combat strength. Even the Snow Realm ancestor couldn't be called a ruler of Origin Continent. That was because his combat strength was still somewhat lacking. If he successfully cultivated the primordial bloodline and could fight on par with a godly king at the second level, he would be considered a ruler. At that point, the Two Realms Palace would likely invite him to join. As for now, in the eyes of the true rulers, even though they couldn't kill the Snow Realm ancestor, he posed no threat to them, just a minor irritation. Many godly kings at the first level have either died or been forced to reincarnate over the long river of time. But Luo he has such deep roots. Yan Su was well aware of this, and many forces on Origin Continent also understood it. Even Luo Feng himself knew it, and so did that being in the Two Realms Palace, who was filled with hate but powerless to act. It was foreseeable that Luo he would become a godly king. It was foreseeable that once Luo he became a godly king, he would quickly rise to become a ruler of Origin Continent, far surpassing his current power. But who could stop his growth? Luohi, you attacked a border city, and it's a city guarding the entrance to a world. You will certainly pay a heavy price. You've been a Chaos Realm transcendent for too short a time and don't understand the madness of the Emperor's conflicts. Once you're involved, HMPH. Yan Su watched from afar. Boom tilde tilde tilde. Suddenly, in the direction of Shangji City, the ground trembled violently. It's begun. Yan Su wasn't surprised at all. Without me controlling the ceiling formation, the creatures with primordial bloodlines inside that world will definitely try to break free. If they really break out, your punishment will be 10 times, 100 times worse. Boom, boom, boom tilde tilde tilde. At this moment, the ground in the distance was shaking. Yan Su watched from afar, eagerly anticipating some primordial bloodline creatures breaking out. That would be exciting. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Inside Shangji City, after obliterating Yan Su's complete avatar and 2 weaker ones, Luo Feng also collected his spoils. A pair of void divine drills. Yan Su must be heartbroken. Luo Feng considered himself merciful. He hadn't provoked Yan Su, but Yan Su had deliberately targeted him. Taking his treasures was just a small punishment. If Yan Su didn't know when to stop and continued to harass him, relying on his avatars, then once Luo Feng became a godly king and his spiritual will became powerful enough, he wouldn't hesitate to use the Lu Yuan technique to completely end him. Of course, if Yan Su stopped here, Luo Feng wouldn't waste any more effort on him. Now, the most important thing is the world entrance. With a single thought, Luo Feng caused the vast black world to shrink rapidly. It shrank until it was only a few billion kilometers in range, sealing off the entire core of the city, the world entrance in the depths of an underground secret hall inside the Guardian's mansion. This world entrance had originally been sealed by a formation, with Yan Su in charge of controlling it. But now that the controller was gone, the formation's power weakened, and the creatures with primordial bloodlines inside immediately sensed it. I don't know how to control this formation. Breaking a formation wasn't an easy task. Yan Su had been the guardian general, and the ancient Flame Kingdom had given him the formation talisman and taught him how to control it. The thick membrane of the dark world sealed the entire world entrance. The vast, rolling black river also enveloped the surroundings of the world entrance. Luo Feng stood atop the black river. Boom, boom, boom. Without a controller, the formation's power had greatly diminished. Some primordial bloodline creatures were forcing their way through the formation's suppression, attacking the dark world membrane at the entrance. Suddenly, a claw pierced through the membrane of the dark world. But outside the membrane was the surging black river, which forced the claw back. Loud bangs echoed continuously. Under the double suppression of the weakened formation and the membrane of the Black River world, the primordial bloodline creatures worked together and barely managed to break through the membrane, causing the ground to tremble with loud noises. But the rolling Black River easily pressed them back. The membrane of the Black River world instantly healed, continuing to envelop the primordial bloodline creatures. I thought I would have to act personally. Luo Feng watched the scene unfold. This time, he had acted after thoroughly investigating the situation at the world entrance. This world was known as Shangji. Inside Shangji, the Flame Wind ancestor had cultivated several creatures with primordial bloodlines. Primordial bloodlines originally came from true primordial life outside the caged world. The bloodline was so powerful and terrifying that even a godly king, if touched directly, would be completely polluted and lose themselves. Therefore, both the Flame Wind ancestor and the Thunder ancestor had raised some special creatures. Many of these creatures weren't native to Origin Continent. Through natural reproduction, the primordial bloodline was constantly diluted and weakened. Inside Shangji, all the creatures were so-called Chaos Realm level beings. The golden armored bug corpse that Luo Feng's master had once gifted him was an exceptionally powerful Chaos Realm creature. Even though it was a Chaos Realm creature, it possessed strength comparable to an ordinary godly king. Inside Shangji are all Chaos Realm level primordial bloodline creatures. These are the weakest of the primordial bloodline creatures, with the most diluted bloodlines. Luo Feng pondered, that's why they only assigned one Chaos Realm transcendent to guard them. The ancient Flame Kingdom also had creatures with stronger primordial bloodlines, born with godly king level strength. However, those creatures were heavily imprisoned, guarded by powerful godly kings themselves. According to the records, Chaos Realm creatures, even with primordial bloodlines, generally aren't as powerful as Chaos Realm transcendent beings who cultivate primordial bloodlines. Luo Feng thought, Chaos Realm transcendent beings like the City Lord of Arid Wind had high intelligence and a high realm of understanding. Their cultivation of primordial bloodlines made them a different kind of primordial bloodline creature. Suppressing Chaos Realm creatures is quite easy. With a single thought, Luo Feng merged countless black rivers into the membrane of the dark world. When 50 billion black rivers had fused into the dark world, the primordial bloodline creatures could no longer break through the membrane. I had prepared for a personal battle. I was even ready to use the Star Tower to suppress the world entrance. But now, it seems, there's no need. Luo Feng sat cross-legged. He had attacked the border city and killed Yan Su. The ancient Flame Kingdom would only follow the law and impose some minor punishment. It wouldn't amount to much. After all, on Origin Continent, disputes among the strong were normal. But if a group of primordial bloodline creatures escaped, the punishment would be severe. Time passed. The primordial bloodline creatures, who had been furiously attacking the membrane of the dark world, soon gave up after realizing they couldn't break through. These low-intelligence, crazed creatures quickly dispersed. Now, we'll see what kind of punishment the ancient Flame Kingdom will impose. Luo Feng thought to himself. At the same time, his avatar far away in the Chu capital immediately went to pay a visit to his master, Emperor Chu. Palace of Emperor Chu. The burly figure sitting cross-legged inside the hall looked at Luo Feng walking in and couldn't help but smile. My disciple, have you come to see me about the matter with Shangji City? That Yan Su had a grudge with the disciple, which prompted the disciple to act. Luo Feng said respectfully, the disciple was reckless. Cultivators, who doesn't have a temper? Emperor Chu shook his head and smiled. However, as my disciple, you always come to me because of some grievances, but you never come for cultivation matters. Do you also think that I'm not good at teaching disciples? Luo Feng quickly shook his head. No, I think Master is very good at teaching disciples. Very good? Emperor Chu was surprised. How do I not know myself that I'm good? How am I very good? Emperor Chu pursued, keen to see how the disciple would explain. Last time Master summoned a disciple, he inquired about the disciple's cultivation puzzle. The disciple has been painstakingly contemplating the Trinity form, to no avail, Luo Feng stated. It was Master who gifted the disciple a corpse of a golden scale beetle, allowing the disciple to research a more sophisticated, 10 directions world form, to accumulate enough experience before studying the relatively simple Trinity form. The disciple also took the primordial crystal spirit fruit previously bestowed by Master, and upon careful enlightenment, indeed made a breakthrough, Luo Feng continued, and as a result, his power greatly increased. The primordial crystal spirit fruit and the corpse of the golden scale beetle were both gifted by the Master. Having achieved the Trinity form, naturally, I must thank Master. Moreover, the corpse of the golden scale beetle even helped Morosa become a godly king. Morosa now controls 6 branches of the great Tao of destruction origin, which I can directly observe and contemplate, greatly aiding my cultivation in the great Tao of destruction origin. Master's gifts led to great advancements on both life and destruction paths of my cultivation. Luo Feng felt that with Master's presence, his cultivation path became much smoother. From the sound of it, you becoming the first to transcend the primal chaos realm was also due to my guidance. Emperor Chu found it amusing too. He hadn't instructed in detail, merely bestowed treasures and provided some pointers, and the disciple had broken through. Emperor Chu also understood, it was the extraordinary talent of the disciple. Even without his help, it might have taken the disciple a bit more time to understand it on his own. As for the matter of Shangji City, you don't need to worry too much. Emperor Chu ended the small talk. As long as you make sure that no primordial bloodline creatures escape, the punishment for this matter will ultimately be limited. Luo Feng nodded. I am currently suppressing that world entrance, so those primordial bloodline creatures cannot escape. However, you should still be more cautious in your actions in the future, Emperor Chu said. If the primordial bloodline creatures were to escape, then the punishment would be severe enough to affect your cultivation path. Always remember, not all of Flame Wind Ancient Country's punishments can be shielded by me. After all, I am not the reigning emperor, said Emperor Chu. The disciple understands, Luo Feng responded. His confidence to act came in part from his own strength. Furthermore, as a palace-class godly king-level secret treasure, the Star Tower was naturally adept at suppression and sealing. Luo Feng could sense that the true power of the Star Tower far exceeded that of a first realm of godly king palace treasure, and even with his full effort, he couldn't shake it the slightest bit. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, with his third disciple's exceptional talent, creating his own secret techniques and becoming the first to transcend the primal chaos realm. It was not impossible for his future strength to rival his own. Your potential and talent are both very high, and you will come into contact with many things in the future. Emperor Chu addressed Luo Feng. I won't hide it from you, out of the imperial clan's 13 emperors, except for Emperor Qing, the other 12 when they fight, they don't hesitate to do whatever it takes. Luo Feng felt a shock in his heart. Do whatever it takes? Luo Feng looked at his master. Out of the 13 emperors of the imperial clan, 5 cultivated through the power of primordial force and primordial materials, and I, your master, also cultivated through the power of primordial force, Emperor Chu explained to Luo Feng. The other 6 cultivated through the primordial bloodline. Luo Feng listened attentively. He indeed had very little understanding of the intelligence related to the cultivation of emperors. He only knew that some emperors cultivated the primordial bloodline. As for who practiced it and how many, he was not clear on the specifics. Primordial bloodlines affect the physical body and even corrupt the soul, said Emperor Chu. Those with primordial bloodlines generally have worse temperaments. The 12 emperors have many internal conflicts, but ultimately, they are divided into factions. We 5 who cultivate through primordial force and primordial materials form one faction. The 6 who cultivate through the primordial bloodline form another faction, Emperor Chu stated. The current imperial monarch, Emperor Fu, is quite special. Emperor Fu once cultivated the primordial bloodline, reaching the strength of an emperor. Later on, he chose to reincarnate, abandoning that path, Emperor Chu explained. Reincarnation, while it can free him from the physical corruption and soul pollution, cannot erase the pollution of memories. After abandoning the path of the primordial bloodline, Emperor Fu's cultivation in formation techniques, refining his body with formations, re-achieved the status of an emperor, said Emperor Chu. He is very likely to be the next Emperor Qing. Luo Feng absorbed these secrets. The current emperor had reincarnated? Based on my intelligence, those who relied on the primordial bloodline had the fastest strength increase but also the most problems later on. Those who cultivated through the power of primordial force and primordial materials were also potent, with no hidden dangers. Not relying on any external aid for cultivation is the hardest path. Emperor Fu is following this path, particularly through formation techniques. Emperor Fu has connections with the primordial bloodline faction, as he was once a member. Now that he has abandoned that path and remains completely sober, all sides tend to support him as the emperor, Emperor Chu disclosed. Luo Feng understood. On the surface, Emperor Chu governs, with the other 11 emperors divided into two major factions, while Emperor Qing remains aloof. But in reality, aside from Emperor Qing, the other 12 are all competing against each other. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. It's not just us, the monarchs of the Thunder Ancient Country, and some truly powerful ancient beings on the land of origin. Each one is competing. For the path of the Great Tao, one must compete. Even primogenitor Yan Feng and primogenitor of Thunder, these two ancestors are also groping in the dark. They too are battling for their lives. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng sensed a lot of information. Primogenitor Yan Feng and the primogenitor of Thunder should both be beings who have transcended the ultimate realm of God King. The legacies and resources they left behind in the two ancient countries are immensely vast. They too are battling for their lives? Everyone will die. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Even the two ancestors might die at any moment. Luo Feng's heart trembled. Want to live? Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. One must compete. One must become stronger. You should know that in the primordial cosmos there is reincarnation. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. The same principle applies to the source world governed by the highest rules. There is also reincarnation. One day in the future, the entire source world will be destroyed. Those who have not reached the strength of an emperor will all die. No one can save them. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng, and this is just the first calamity. Luo Feng was shocked, yet he felt it was only natural. In his cultivation of the life and destruction origin Great Tao, he vaguely sensed the operation of the highest rules. All creatures will ultimately head towards destruction, and only through destruction will there be rebirth. The cycle of the source world is unimaginably long. For many cultivators, it is enough to live for such a prolonged period, said Emperor Chu, but for some powerful ancient existences on the land of origin, they are not content. They are only a step away from transcendence, even to the point of leaving the source world to see more vistas. Of course, they will compete. The day of great destruction of the source world is the first calamity, and it is also the calamity you will face in the future, said Emperor Chu. Luo Feng, because you possess high talent and understanding, I am telling you all this. Ordinary beings in the primal chaos realm don't need to worry about these things because they have no hope of surviving the calamity. Thank you, Master, said Luo Feng. He had long heard that aside from the overt powers on the land of origin, many forces in the shadows were stirring trouble as well, like the official members of the Two Realms Palace, with the lowest being at the second realm of Godly King. Previously, Luo Feng had wondered why, upon reaching the level of the second realm of Godly King, did one have to lurk in the shadows? Why did they have to stir up trouble and compete? Clearly, those ancient beings were also competing. Competing for opportunities, competing for survival. The struggle for the Great Tao is naturally cruel. Cultivate well, only by becoming stronger can you compete for more opportunities, Emperor Chu said. You must be strong enough before the great destruction of the source world, otherwise all is in vain. Luo Feng nodded. Fate is cruel. If a creature is born close to the great destruction, the cultivation time left for this creature will be very short. Disciple will remember. Disciple takes his leave, Luo Feng said immediately. Luo Feng also understood that many secrets were probably inaccessible to ordinary godly kings. As the direct disciple of an emperor, the emperor shared so much only because he saw that Luo Feng had sufficient talent. I hope he can reach the strength of an emperor before the destruction of this source world, Emperor Chu silently hoped. Being able to create secret techniques, to achieve transcendence of the primal chaos realm. Emperor Chu was very pleased. With his talent and understanding, there is a great hope of reaching the second realm of Godly King. and naturally, there is a sliver of hope to strive for the level of an emperor. In Flame-Wind ancient country, Yan capital, Emperor Yan is the first emperor of the entire Flame-Wind ancient country, whose prestige once deterred the entire land of origin. However, with the emergence of one emperor after another, especially with the appearance of Emperor Qing, his influence naturally declined significantly. Emperor Yan Su spoke with the utmost respect that Luohe infiltrated the heavily fortified border city, Shangji City, killed several of my avatars, and seized my treasures. Before him, a majestic flaming figure stood. He bore a human-like physique, yet with enormous wings of flame, the fire on his wings so intense that Yan Su dared not look directly, and he also had a long, scaled tail. His very presence twisted Yan Su's spiritual will. Emperor Yan was an emperor who cultivated the primordial bloodline, and the primordial bloodline within him was naturally extremely powerful and had a horrifyingly potent contaminating effect. Has any creature with the primordial bloodline escaped? The voice of Emperor Yan resounded. No, Yan Su said. When he lifted control over the portal to this world, he had deliberately created a disturbance to attract as many creatures with the primordial bloodline as possible. Useless. Emperor Yan's voice was cold and indifferent. You needn't bother with this matter anymore. Once the heavenly task is over, I will handle it. At present, all 13 branches of the imperial clan are undertaking heavenly tasks, which are matters of great importance. Yes, Yan Su respectfully retreated. A disciple of Emperor Chu, capable of achieving the first transcendence of primal chaos realm? If he has high enough talent, he needs to be kept in check. Emperor Yan was not the least bit pleased. Luohe's strength was of no benefit to the lineage of Emperor Yan. In the past, he looked down on Luohe, but now Luohe was gradually showing his threat, and naturally, Emperor Yan also turned his attention towards Luohe. The strength of Luohe meant that Emperor Chu's lineage became stronger, that Emperor Chu's lineage would gain more resources, and consequently, the other lineages would have fewer resources.